Hello, everyone. I am Brady Briggs here for another episode of the Combat Logic. Joining me back to my co-host Tyler Avery. How you doing, Tyler?
Good. How are you doing, Damien?
Good, man. Not too bad. No, starting off today, I want to do something a little different considering we didn't do a post fight. I just want to talk about Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman a little bit. Their rematch. No, I thought it was kind of interesting. They end up in the same exact position their first fight ended in, just like 80 seconds into the fight. With Colby shooting on a takedown, sprawled out. He gets hurt bad in the second round and then comes back about a minute left in the third round, and he wins the last two. He made the fight close, but he got off to way too late of a start. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think they both made slight adjustments, but in the end, it wasn't enough to change the outcome from the last fight. It was very similar in ways, the way that things played out.
Mm-hmm.
Kamaru was the stronger man. Kobe almost. It's arguable if he got the takedown or not, but he almost kind
I
of got a
think he did.
takedown on him. He didn't really maintain control, but
Mm-hmm.
in wrestling he would have had 2 points.
Yeah, right. He
Uh,
didn't maintain control, but he did momentarily take him down. I mean, I don't
right,
know how you could score against that.
right. So that was interesting, but overall, kind of not much changed from the last fight. You could tell they both
Yeah.
were ready and made adjustments, but in the end, Kobe wasn't enough to make a giant enough of an adjustment to change the
Right.
outcome of the fight.
Who do you want to see Colby fight next? Jorge Masvidal just pulled out against Leon Edwards.
I
Gilbert
think he did
Burns is
that
right there.
before that reason.
Huh?
I think he realizes that Colby Covington is the smarter fight for him right now.
Masvidal?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, he could fight Masvidal too. Like
I
both
don't
of
like
those
to
fights
say
just
that
opened up.
people do like stuff like that, but it's not that hard to believe that when Kobe fought and lost, he didn't realize that it might make more sense to fight Kobe now. He's kind of a more of a bigger money fight. If he
Yeah,
fights Kobe, it's going to be a
for
big
sure.
rivalry. Um, and it might actually give him a decent amount more stock, even with Kobe losing. The way that people look at it, Kobe's the champ without Kamaru Usman around.
Yeah,
So if if he had the chance to fight Leon or Kobe, I think it makes more sense for him to want to fight Kobe if he feels like he can beat Kobe.
yeah, for sure. And he trained with him for like 10 years. If they were to fight 10 times, I think Colby would win 8 or 9 of them, but Jorge would definitely get that one. He's
He
fucking
has the
dangerous,
chance
man.
to knock out anybody because he puts himself
For
out there.
sure. For sure. All right, let's get into this card. Let's do things a little bit differently and start out with the main event and go down. Now, we got Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez. This is a really interesting fight. It appears Yair finally wants to fight again. So he's fighting arguably the best featherweight in the world, arguably the best featherweight of all time, Max Holloway tomorrow. No, this is such an interesting fight, dude, because Max Holloway, dude, he went 5 rounds with Dustin Poirier. He fought Jose Aldo twice. He fought Anthony Pettis. He's never been dropped before, ever. Never been dropped. But Yair is the type of dude that could catch him with like 20 different things that he wouldn't see coming and just like stun him out of nowhere. It's such an interesting matchup. That being said, I think Max is really going to put it on him, but I'm really excited for this one. What do you see happening?
Yeah, I feel like you kind of hit the nail on the head a little bit. Yair probably won't win a 5 round point match with Max Holloway, but he absolutely has the unorthodox ability to catch him with something he's not ready for. And if he can capitalize on it, he could potentially shock the world.
Yeah, dude,
Um,
good.
I feel like he needs to get the finish on Max, and I feel like that's a really tough job to go out trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Max is not easy for anyone to
He's
finish.
been finished once when he was 20 years old.
Right. So I don't know that it's possible, but if I had to put money on this, I would say Max hurts him in the late rounds and either TKOs him or or wins by decision.
So what do you think about, say Max Holloway wins this fight? Okay, we're going to assume that he does. What is it like for Alexander Volkanovski for Holloway to be beating all of his contenders?
I mean, it just
Holloway's
keeps
like,
Holloway the only option for
it does,
Volkanovski right
like,
now.
Because, dude, I'll be honest, I'd love to see Yair fight Alexander Volkanovski. That would be sick. I would have loved to see Cater fight him. Like, he would have got leg kicked to death. That would have been a good fight. But yeah, I want to say this about Max Holloway. Mike Bond shared this, and it says there's a good chance Max Holloway becomes the first fighter to land 3,000 title strikes in their UFC career by the time UFC Vegas 42 ends, which is their event tomorrow. He only needs 195 more strikes to land 3,000 total strikes in his UFC career. That's
which is a lot, but it's not beyond him.
Yeah, and it's all before his 30th birthday too, because he turns 30 next month.
Holloway?
Yeah, that's insane.
Wow, he's still in his prime.
It's insane. He's finally about to turn 30, but dude, breaking a record like that before you're 30, that's just unprecedented, man. It's already unprecedented, but he's 29, that's so crazy to me.
I don't see him fighting into really, really old age. But I bet you he'll be in his prime when he's like 31, 32. He's probably entering his physical prime.
Yeah, I was thinking like 32 probably. Hopefully longer, I mean, but we don't know. BJ Penn is a Hawaiian that started out really, really early. He fell off when he was 30. Ben Rothwell is fighting Marcos Rogerio de Lima in the co-main event. Now, I'm pretty sure Rothwell is coming off a win over Chris Barnett, who just spin and wheel kicked Jean Vellante last weekend. De Lima is coming off a win over Maurice Green, but really since he won his first 2 fights in the UFC, since then he's one loss for like 10 straight.
Right.
And Ben Rothwell, he finally came back like a year ago, and he's gone 2-1 since his return.
Right.
So yeah, how do you see this one going?
It's an interesting matchup. Because they're so big, anything can happen, obviously. But this is, in my opinion, Ben Rothwell's fight to lose. He has all the experience in the world versus Marcus de Lima. Not that de Lima is inexperienced, but there is almost, unless you're an Alistair Overeem or one of those top OGs that have been in here forever, there really isn't many heavyweights that have that type of experience that have been in there so long with the best of the best of the best. And now I know Ben Rothwell isn't in his prime by any means. He's not his best self.
No.
However, I feel like he will have the tools that he needs to win this fight, and with his experience, I feel like he'll easily be able to see the openings that he needs to take to win this.
Yeah. And even if he's not at his very best anymore, like he's still as awkward as they get. You know, he's kind of like Yair, except a non-athletic punching version of him. You know, he comes from the weirdest angles, throws things with the worst technique, but it works for him. So
he almost is like a longer reach Derek Lewis.
Yeah, man, kind of
at you
a little less power, angles. But still a lot of power. Yeah.
Yeah, Marcus de Lima, I feel like has to catch him, but I feel like Ben Rothwell's going to pressure him and back him up most of this fight and keep marching forward.
If de Lima could get him down, he could wrestle him to a decision, maybe.
I will say Ben Rothwell is very hard and to control on the ground.
Yes,
his jiu-jitsu is a lot better than a lot of heavyweights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. Like when he got TKO'd by Cain Velasquez, he was standing up as the ref stopped it. He got
up and that was Cain.
After Cain took him down. Yeah, exactly. So our feature fight of the night comes between Felicia Spencer and Leah Letson. Now, not a lot of people know who Letson is.
But I remember her.
She's 5-1. She's on a 5-fight win streak. Her only losses are first fight by split decision. She had a successful amateur career. And Felicia Spencer, you know, fought Amanda Nunes for the belt, shocked the world by submitting Megan Anderson in her UFC debut. But she lost to Norma Dumont in her last fight. Now she went from 8-1 to 8-3. How do you see this one going? I think Spencer gets back on track, but Letson might be a little overlooked here.
I'm not really sure. I feel like Spencer should win this fight. But at the same time, we can't really count Letson out of this. She could make this a dogfight, make it a little closer than we think. But if it ends up being more one-sided, I see it being a Felicia Spencer show, kind of. And I agree. I feel like she should be able to get Leah to the ground, potentially. I feel like she's might be a little bit physically stronger, and she's obviously faced more intimidating opponents.
For sure. Fought the two best women fighters ever.
So she
that
definitely
aren't
feels
named
confident for
Valentina.
this.
Yeah, yeah. I think she should be, man. I think she gets a submission here.
She said she's
We
going
will
to get the
see.
finish. She was very confident that she's going to get the finish in this fight. So
I
I
could
feel
definitely
like
see it. Two or the first two rather on the main card are fucking sick matchups. All right, we
yep.
got Miguel Bazin and Chaos Williams, two really dangerous strikers. I think Bazin is far more technical, but dude, Chaos made his UFC debut and his second fight, getting two KO victories in a combined 57 seconds. And yeah,
Yeah.
Bates is kind of a prodigy, man. Like he lost to Santiago Ponzinibbio in his last fight. But dude, he's really fucking good. How do you see this one going?
This is going to be probably a firefight.
I think
Chaos likes to bring the chaos. He's
sure
explosive,
does.
strong. He hits hard, obviously. I think he might be slightly technically outmatched by Beza, but I feel like they're both gonna bring it. They're both
For
gonna
sure.
trade, and I feel like it should be finished. Both of their last fights were decisions, but I
Yep.
feel like a finish with these two styles clashing isn't that, wouldn't be
Unfathomable.
that hard to see happening.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a big possibility. About the main card opener between Song Yadong and Julio Arce, man, I've been excited as fuck for this fight since it was signed. Like Julio Arce, man, I met this guy. He's such a nice dude. He knocked out Julian Erosa that night when I got to interview him, and he's coming off a win over Andre Ewell, a second round knockout over Andre Ewell. Oh yeah, he just dropped down to bantamweight in his last
Right.
fight. He was a featherweight. So that's pretty cool. His only losses in the UFC are to Hakeem Dawodu and Shaman Marias. Both are pro kickboxing champions and both via split decision. And then Song Yadong, man, he's had some controversies in his last few fights, but dude, he's a prodigy himself. Like, this is a really good matchup. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I have kind of a little bit of belief in Song Yudong.
Me
I
too.
feel like he's a little underrated. He has had some tough fights, but he's also fought tough guys. His last
Yes,
fight
he
was Casey
has.
Kenny. So,
When he wasn't fighting quite as tough a guys, he was starching them around.
right. I feel like he has a lot of natural ability. He's super young. He's 23 years old. He's
Yeah.
younger than we are. You
Mm.
know, he's only getting better. Um, he's probably blossoming as a fighter with being able to train with the best of the best of the best.
Yeah, man.
So I have a lot of hope for Song Yudong. Julio Arce or Julio Arce isn't isn't a slouch by any means, but I'll be rooting for Song Yudong in this.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how this one goes, man. I'm super excited to see. Preliminary main event goes down between Thiago Moises, someone we were just talking about, and Joe Alvarez. No, Joe Alvarez has surprised me over his last couple fights. All right. So he made his UFC debut with a 15-1 record. He lost to Demirez Magulov, who's a really good striker. Not many people know who he is, but he's a really good fighter. And then he's rebounded with 3 straight wins, 3 straight finishes. He submitted Joseph Duffy and Alexander Yakovlev in his last 2 fights. So that's incredibly impressive. And then Moises has been finished 1 time to Islam Makhachev. Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak.
No one can really shame him on that. You don't really lose much stock in a loss to Makhachev.
Yeah, man, you don't. This is a champion versus champion fight too. The former AFL champion, who is Joe Alvarez, versus former RFA champion, who is Moises. Should be a good one. I think
Interesting
Moises
style
takes it.
matchup here.
Yeah, it is, man. Moises is 15-5. Alvarez is 18-2. I think this is going to be a fight that shows us records don't mean shit, though. I think Moises is probably going to get it done.
And this is also someone who's 5'9" versus someone who's 6'3". So we have a huge
Oh
differential there.
shit! Moises is only 5'9". Wow.
It's a
You're right.
7-inch reach advantage.
Dude, this is the second time you've really noticed this. Maybe Alvarez will do well, man, because you pointed this out with Pickett and Staropoli, and I think that was the story of that fight. I mean, Pickett
Yeah.
was better than I thought he was, but that was more or less the story of that fight was his length and his size.
When I see that, it makes me think Alvarez is gonna need to try to stop the takedown. When I look at that, because Moises, I feel like, is a well-rounded mixed martial artist,
Yes, he
And
is.
if he's smart, he'll mix in takedowns, maybe not in a way where he hangs out on the ground, but he'll mix his takedowns in with his striking.
Yeah, he's been doing that a little bit better recently.
Yeah.
How about Cynthia Calvillo versus Andrea Lee? What can you tell me about this one?
That should be a firefight too. These girls are kind of some of the two feistier girls in the division, I think. So sometimes Andrea Lee can be a little bit less exciting than Calvillo. Calvillo comes out like a dog
I agree.
every
Andrea
time.
Lee is kind of like Caitlin Chikagian, honestly, I think.
Right. But I feel like Cynthia Calvillo is going to force her in the pocket to fight her because Calvillo and I don't Calvillo's had some tough fights lately. So we'll see if she fights the way she typically does. But if she does fight the way she typically does, she's going to be marching forward, trying to be the aggressor. And we'll see Andrea Lee forced to maybe be more aggressive. Well, not all of the girls in the division are going to force firefights. And Calvillo's
Oh,
one of the nastier chicks in the division when it comes to meanness. You know,
yeah, I
she
agree.
wants to come to fight, and I feel like she is the girl to draw that out of Andrea Lee. So we'll see.
Right on. How about the fight just prior to that? Sean Woodson is coming back, and I'm very excited for this man. Sean Woodson, he is as much of a stick figure as you'll get. He's a 6'2" featherweight, but
Giant.
he's got a 78-inch reach, man. And he's 46-3 as an amateur boxer. And it's not even his boxing that's really impressive. I mean, it is, but dude, it's his kicks too. It's his knees up the middle. Dude, he's so fun to watch. He's such a wicked striker.
I think it's worth noting how they match up in the picture.
What?
Look at the size difference.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like either
He's a monster.
England's going to be able to get in on those legs, or he's going to eat a knee on the way in, or he's going to get picked apart the whole time. Like Woodson just beat Yusuf Zalal, former kickboxer, in his last fight. Like he was beating Julian Rosa until he got submitted in the third round. Like he's so fun to watch, man. I'm so excited to see him fight again.
I will say Woodson, for such a big, tall guy, I know he's not out of shape, but he does throw a decent amount of punches. He averages
Oh,
6.1 significant strikes.
yeah, he's always got a
He's
lot.
calling England's 3.6.
Yeah, dude. Woodson's volume is up there. It always is. I love it.
But England is going to be going to the takedown in this. I can assure it.
I think he'd probably be stupid not to.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to outstrike Sean Woodson. No one has yet.
right.
I mean, it's not like it can't happen, but I don't think he's going to do it.
It's going to take an explosive boxer on the inside, I think. Someone with a tight inside boxing that can catch him with a hook coming in on the inside, kind of like how Gaethje beat
Edson Barboza.
no that or Vic. How he caught him along the cage.
Oh, yeah.
He's tall and long and he reaches his chin back like this and catches him over the top.
I can't believe James Vick made it to 13-1, 9-1 inside the UFC fighting like that. Not that he's a shitty fighter. I'm not trying to shit on James Vick, but
He
man,
put all
he
his
went
eggs
on
in
a
one
run.
basket for that Gaethje fight, and he really talked himself a huge hole that he never, I feel like,
He never recovered from. He's like, you're a punch drunk loser fighting tomato cans in the B leagues. He hasn't won a fight since then. He's been KO'd 4 times since then.
Yeah,
Man.
and he's done now officially.
Yeah, that's like that. That's eating your words at its fullest.
Yeah.
Now, Courtney Casey is fighting Liana Jojua. What can you tell me about this one?
Not too much about the Liana Jojua girl, but Courtney Casey, I feel like is a really well-rounded girl in her division, considering her record.
Yeah, she is.
Had some really tough fights.
She reminds me of Random Marcos in that way.
Yeah, but she's scrappy. She's got a well-rounded fundamental base for all the aspects of MMA. I feel like this will be a good fight. I don't know much about Jojua, or I don't know how to say her name.
It's Jojua.
She lost to Maverick TKO stoppage her last fight, and Courtney Casey lost to Aldrich by split decision. I think Courtney Casey will have more experience because I feel like most of her wins and losses were in the UFC compared to Jojua is more new. I would have to put my money on Courtney Casey.
Yeah, I think so too. Hobalt, the fight just prior to that, where Mark Casey comes back against Rafael rather, Alves. Now Alves is coming off a loss to Damir Ismagulov, as well. And Jacasey, man, he is such a flashy, fun to watch striker. Like he was what 11-0 or 12-0, and then he lost 3 straight. But he made a little bit of a rebound until he fought Rafael Fiziev in his last fight. How do you see his fight with Alves going?
Yeah, yeah. I really like Mark Casey. I always root for
Dude.
him when he fights. He's had a really tough go, like you said, his last few, but he's also a really young man, and he's stepped up really heavily in the competition because he got a lot of hype on him.
Yep,
That being said, this is a fight for his stock that he needs.
I agree for sure.
I don't think they're
Needs
gonna
it.
cut him or anything, but
They
I feel
might.
like I feel like they give a little leeway to some of the more exciting guys.
Yeah,
Um,
they do.
that's why they kept Mike Perry for so long.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like he needs to at least put on a good performance in this fight, bare minimum.
Sure. I would honestly like to see Casey in Bellator. I think he would win most of those fights over there. Not
Or
all of them, but most of them.
or I would have liked to see him develop a little bit. He's in a really tough division to just be thrown in like that.
He is. He's still only 28 too, man. You're right. He is still young. He's still got like 4 years to be at his best, I think.
Yeah. That being said, working on takedown defense. He already has like a nice stocky build. If he works on the takedown defense, keeps himself from getting on his back, and kind of goes back to the fundamentals of striking a little bit. Maybe takes not all the flash away because that's kind of makes him who he is,
Yeah.
but some of it kind of dial it back a little bit, so he doesn't find himself vulnerable. But I'm rooting for Casey in this. I don't know who's
Me
going
too.
to win this one, but I hope Casey wins.
I think Casey has got it. We will see though. We'll see in about 24 hours because it comes on at like 1 in the afternoon.
Weird.
Yeah, it's where the main card starts at 4 Eastern time, by the way, guys. Opening up the preliminary card. The first fight of the night is Kennedy and Jikwi and Da Un Jun. Now,
Giants.
yeah, dude. Most people don't know who Jung is. But he's 14-2-1. He's 3-0-1 in the UFC with 2 finishes. And he's a force that needs to be stopped, thus far. Kennedy
They're
and
6'4" and 6'5". You're gonna be hearing them step in there. They're pretty
Wait,
big men for light heavyweight.
how tall is Jung? Jung is 6'4", 6'4" with a 78.5-inch reach, and Njekwi is 6'5" with an 83-inch.
One of the longest reaches in the UFC.
Yeah, it is, dude. It's only like an inch and a half shorter than the longest reach ever.
Yeah.
So he made his UFC debut against Paul Craig. He got submitted late in the 3rd round. And then he's won 3 straight since then, knocking his last 2 opponents out. The first of which I thought this was his last fight. I forgot he fought since then. But he knocked out a pro kickboxer, dude, over the summer. Or actually, it was in the spring. But, dude, I was super impressed with that. It was a very, very tough fight. Like, he almost got knocked out a number of times himself. But I've been high on Kennedy since he came over, man. He's got the frame. He's got the athleticism. He just needs to learn the skills, and he'll be so fucking hard to beat.
He's got a good mentality, too. He's in there to fight every time.
And he is, man. He showed that in that fight against that kickboxer. Fuck, what was his name? Carlos something, I think. Yeah, Carlos Illenberg. Yeah, dude. He's a vicious striker. He just starched him after a war, dude. A straight up war. Like, no one.
Dan Jung needs to get this one to the ground.
Yeah, dude. I think so. Because Kennedy's getting more dangerous every time we see him.
Yeah, he's growing into himself. He's only 29 years old.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited to see him fight tomorrow. So, I mean, it's an 11 fight card. It's not the biggest card, but there are some really good matchups on it and some really fun names to watch.
And you can't beat free.
No, you can't beat free. Yeah, after 2 great cards like that, a lot of fans probably aren't going to be checking this one out, but I suggest you do.
I will be.
Hell yeah, man. All right, I think that about wraps it up. We'll be back for a recap. I'm going to actually do it on Monday. And thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you, Tyler. I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Take it easy.
You too.